Shout out to my man Ree. Every time his Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose a game, he comes on and he rants about how they're fake tough guys. And I love it every single time. I know I can count on it, and I know it's going to be funny. And you know what? It got me to thinking, who are the NFL's playoff teams that are currently slated to make it to the postseason? Who are the real tough guys, teams you don't want to face? And who are the fake tough guys? Teams that you're like, hey man, bring that smoke this way so I can take care of your ass. Who else could it be? Me, Louie T. Welcome to the 120th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. This is going to be a fun show because we got a lot to get to today. I talked about this briefly last night, how this is a crazy week, a lot of evenly matched teams. So this week 14 slate that I'm going to give you picks for, I'm not confident, but this is going to prove once and for all that I've got a pulse on what's going on. And I tell you this every time. We really don't know what the hell we're talking about. And I make declarations all the time. I got this thing under control. And then I go 8-6 and you're like, oh, okay. You had it under control, huh? How's that working out for you? So I don't really know. The hell is that? I don't really know what the hell is going to happen this week. But I can tell you this much. This is going to be one of those weeks that separates winners from losers. And that's why it's called winners and losers. If you're a winner, you're going to find a way to go, 12-4, no worse than 11-5. This is an easy week to lose 6-7 games. All 16 games on the slate are active for the rest of the season, barring any catastrophes. We're going to get 16 for the rest of the season. So buckle up. It's going to be a hell of a ride down the stretch. But we got some leftovers to get to. I'm going to head over to the kitchen a little bit later on. I got some Papa John's pizza that I'm looking to sink my teeth into. So got some leftovers from the Rams' destruction of the Patriots last night. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. But before we get to any of that, you know what we got to do. Come on. Don't act brand new on me, when I do that. Don't do it to me. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't act brand new on me. Come on, man. Let's go ahead and drop this gem on your melon. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T. Let me open you up. You're thinking a little bit. So, I let off the show talking about fake tough guys and real tough guys. And when you look at the slate of teams that are who have positioned themselves to make it to the postseason, it's in the AFC especially, it's a very hardy group. I mean, a group of teams that you look at and say, hey, look, man, any of these teams can get you on any given day. It's a rough group in the AFC. Rough, tough, and rugged and ready to rock and roll, okay? In the NFC, not so much. It's a lot of teams you're looking like, hey, you soft for real, man. I'm ready to pull your card right now. I don't believe in you. I don't believe in your defense. I don't believe in your offense. You suspect. So let's talk about tough guys in the NFL playoff picture and fake tough guys. Okay. Now, I want to limit it to just one of each in each conference because obviously, I could take the low-hanging fruit in the AFC. Well, the Patriots, the Chiefs, that's a tough guy. Yep, got Patrick Mahomes. Tough to beat them. Obviously, come on. That's low-hanging fruit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to narrow the focus to one tough guy, okay, meaning one tough team in the AFC playoff picture, and one fake tough guy in that conference. And then we're going to do the same for the NFC. A lot harder to do it in the NFC than it is in the AFC because I think there are a lot of fake tough guys in the NFC. So we'll talk about that here in a second. But let's get to the AFC first because right now they seem to be the conference of champions. That seems to be the conference where if you make it out of there alive, you're going to look at the NFC team that's waiting for you in the Super Bowl and say, that's who I got to beat to win a chip? Oh, this should be pretty damn easy. It feels that way. Now, it may not ultimately end up that way. The team that you get may be the best that the NFC has to offer, and that team may be able to put up one hell of a fight and ultimately beat you, or it might just be a bad matchup for your football team. We know Just like in boxing in the NFL, styles make fights, and sometimes teams just match up with you very, very well. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to the AFC tough guy and the team that I wouldn't want to face. Now, again, obviously, I don't want to play Kansas City. I wouldn't want to play Pittsburgh. Even though you could classify them as a fake tough guy, I wouldn't want any parts of that defense. And if the offense gets their act together, they're going to be a tough out. I wouldn't want any parts of Pittsburgh, okay? But, you know, you look at Indianapolis. I wouldn't want any parts of them. They're a dangerous team because they can play defense. However, there's one team in particular that I look at and I say, they got some experience last year, invaluable playoff experience last year, okay? May have lost, but they showed you that they can do some things. They've taken the success of last year, and they've essentially grown exponentially because of it. They're dangerous. I think they have an MVP candidate on their team, even though he's not going to win. And when I look at that offense, the addition of Stephon Diggs and what they have at the receiver position, when they get John Brown back, Cole Beasley, Stephon Diggs, they added the young kid, Davis, out of UCF. They got receivers. They got a tight end that I really like in Dawson Knox. They got backs. Even though he fumbled on Monday, I think the Utah back as a rookie is a quality back. Also, I love Devin Singletary. I think they're just loaded on the offensive side of the football, not to mention the guy pulling the strings in Josh Allen. He's playing at a ridiculous level right now. He's very cerebral. He's athletic. He can get out of the pocket. He can extend plays. He's the kind of guy that terrorizes defenses that aren't athletic and can't move, because he can get outside the pocket, and when he extends, he's not extending to run, although he can. He's extending to break your back 30 yards down the field. And he showed on Monday, and he showed throughout this season, that when he gets opportunities, he doesn't miss very often. I would more so take Josh Allen on the move outside the pocket to his right, throwing 30 yards down the field on a frozen rope to a receiver standing right next to out of bounds, than I would Josh Allen in the pocket at the 7-yard line with a wide open tight end in the back of the end zone. I've seen him almost overthrow that more times than I have him outside the pocket throwing the football 35 yards down the field to a target. So this guy right now is uber dangerous. So is this offense now. I will tell you this. Their defense leaves a lot to be desired, okay? But I think that this defense is fully capable. I do feel that way. I think this defense is fully capable. And so my tough guy team that I would not want to face in the AFC is the Buffalo Bills. If I'm a team looking to try to advance to the Super Bowl, I'd love my journey to not include the Buffalo Bills. They scare me with all the offensive weaponry that they have. They scare me with how well coached they are. And they scare me because Josh Allen is a wild card. No one can cover Stephon Diggs. They've got Cole Beasley in the slot. They got John Brown. They can stretch the football field vertically. They can do everything. They can work you underneath. They can work you intermediate. They can work you deep. They got tight ends. They got running backs. They've got the total package. I told you I like Zach Moss, the rookie out of Utah. I told you I love Devin Singletary. There's just a lot there to have to worry about. Gabe Davis, another rookie that's stepping up, making plays. They even can hurt you in the returns game. I love and have loved him throughout his entire career. Oh, shucks. What is his name? Oh, man. I can't think of his name. But their return guy. Used to play with Washington and Arizona. He's tremendous in the returns game. As a punt returner, as a kickoff returner, he's dangerous. So they have so many ways that they can get you. And this defense, while they're not great, they do produce turnovers. I think the Buffalo Bills are real tough guys. Conversely, you don't have to go far to find the fake tough guy in the AFC playoff picture right now. And you don't have to go far because it's in the same division as the real tough guy. It's the Miami Dolphins. They're the fake tough guy in the AFC playoff picture. Here's why. I don't trust their offense. All right. Their defense, while it's good, this is the thing. When I look at their defense, and their defense is like number 2 scoring defense in the league, something like that. And I respect that. That's the stat that I look at the most. But when I look at this Dolphins football team, and they're well coached too, they don't have the experience, number one. First of all, I don't think they're going to make it to the playoffs when it's all said and done. But they don't have the experience. That's number one. Number two, they don't know what the hell they're doing at quarterback right now. They don't know if they want to go with Fitzpatrick or if they want to go with Tua, which they've made the decision. It's Tua. But, eventually he's going to turn it over. He's trying his damnedest to turn it over, and nobody wants to pick him off. He's giving defenses weekly 2 opportunities to pick him off, and they're like, nah, youngin, you good. Don't worry about it. I'll let the next team get you. Eventually, he's going to start turning it over, and I think it's going to happen in bunches. And it might happen in a game where they can ill afford for turnovers to take place. Then they're going to try to go back to Fitzpatrick to try to save the season. It's a mess. But anyway, and I'm not saying that I'm not on board with Tua long term, but I don't necessarily love the play calling in Miami. I don't like how they're utilizing Tua all that much. And I think this defense, while it's good, it's not great. They don't have any standouts on that defensive line. And again, this is the Patriots model. So you don't have elite defensive ends or edge rushers in that Patriots defense. They never have, never will. That's not how they operate. They build a dominant secondary, and then all the other parts are ancillary and supporting cast members. The linebackers, although they like to have 1 or 2 standout linebackers, the defensive line, they don't really pay a lot of attention to that. The edge rushers, we'll get some guys. They got Shaq Lawson and all of those. Emmanuel Ogbah. I don't think that this Dolphins team, when you put them in front of them, and they got a great opportunity to shut me up on Sunday. They got the Chiefs coming, okay? To their building. They got a chance to smack me in my mouth and say, Louie T, shut up. And I'm going to be watching that game to see how they handle themselves. I think they're going to conduct themselves like schmucks in this game. I think they're going to go out there and they're going to stink it up. And I think the final score may indicate that it was close. But if you watch the game, I think the Chiefs at some point, they're going to be up by 3 scores in this game. It'll be, 31 to 13. And when the game's over, it'll be something like, 31 to 24 or something like that. And they'll take their foot off the gas pedal and it'll look competitive, but they really were giving it to the Dolphins at one point in this game. That's how I see this thing ending up. I don't believe in the Miami Dolphins. I don't think this defense is legit. When I say legit, they can beat up on the little sisters of the poor. They take advantage of the Cincinnatis and the teams like the Jets. They take advantage of them. They're going to do those teams in. When they see, Arizona put up 31 on them, should have beat them. I don't know how. I still can't wrap my brain around how a field goal kicker indoors misses a 49-yard field goal short. Still can't wrap my brain around that, but it happened. I've watched them against offenses that can move the football, haven't been all that impressed. This is a defense that I know is coached well, and if you don't have your A game, they will silence your offense. But I think they are a fake tough guy right now. Still got a lot of questions on the offensive side of football. Don't love their running back situation at all, even though I do actually like Ahmed, the running back, the undrafted rookie out of Washington. But they seem to like the other undrafted rookie out of Washington a little bit more, who came back last week. Doesn't matter. Don't love their running back position. The receivers leave a lot to be desired. And, right now their best weapon is Mike Gesicki at the tight end position. I just think the Miami Dolphins right now, who probably won't even make the postseason, are your AFC fake tough guys right now. As we move on to the NFC side of the bracket, this one, it gets a little dicey, okay? Yep, the Saints are playing good football. Are you really afraid of the Saints, though? And I get it, they got Taysom Hill. Were you afraid of them with Drew Brees before the injury? Not really, right? No, not really. What about the Packers? You afraid of them? Hell no, you're not afraid of the goddamn Green Bay Packers. What about Seattle? Were the Giants with Colt McCoy afraid of the Seattle Seahawks? Nobody out in the NFC side of the bracket really strikes fear in your heart. And then you watched the team last night in the Los Angeles Rams that I think might be the most complete NFC team. Now, I don't necessarily love their offense because their offense is capable of going to sleep. And Jared Goff is capable of turning it over 2 or 3 times in a game, and they're capable of only putting up 13 points and losing. However, this defense is different this year, okay? This defense is different this year. It is. And because of their defense, I don't think anybody in the NFC really wants any parts of this Rams football team. They've got good players at every level, and they've got elite players at 2 out of the 3 levels of their defense. Not to mention the supporting cast members surrounding those elite players are pretty damn good themselves, or at least they're having exceptional seasons this year. That defense, scary even. And then the offense, when they're not turning it over, and I told you this last night, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more when we get to the leftovers. If they can start to establish the run game with Cam Akers, too many damn Cams in the league right now. Cam Akers, they're going to be really dangerous because that will set up that play action fake that they love to run oh so much. And their receivers are so good in the run game as blockers, but they're also damn good receivers that I don't think get enough credit for what they do as pass catchers. Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. And, Reynolds is inconsistent. He had an interception last night because of a drop that he had over the middle of the football field. But when he's dialed in, he's a problem. Van Jefferson is a young guy that they really like. And I love both of their tight ends, Tyler Higbee and Gerald Everett. They've got weapons out there. So I think the LA Rams are the tough guy that you don't want to see in the NFC playoffs. When I look at the Rams and their body of work and the way that they're built and their DNA, they're just a nasty physical team. And those are the types of teams that a team like Tampa Bay or Green Bay or even New Orleans could get stymied by, bogged down by in a playoff game and not score but 13 and lose. I could see them going to Lambeau and smacking around Aaron Rodgers and having the Packers look like they did against the Buccaneers early in the season. I could see the Saints having one of those flashbacks against Minnesota and getting next to nothing. And this Rams team has already gone to the Superdome and won before. They're not afraid to go into New Orleans. And now to do it without the crowd, they are uber confident. I don't think there's one building in the league right now that this Rams team can't go in and get a win. I look at them, and I love Sean McVay, and I love Brandon Staley, the defensive coordinator, and I love where they are right now as a football team. Give me the LA Rams. I don't know if they're going to win the division or not. I don't think it even matters with the way that they play defense. To me, they're the tough guys in the NFC playoffs that you just don't want to play right now. Now, it gets a lot tougher in the NFC when we start talking about fake tough guys. All right? When we start talking about fake tough guys, it gets tough because I just mentioned to you, there are a lot of teams that really fit the criteria here for fake tough guy in the NFC. The Arizona Cardinals, who may ultimately sneak in the back door, they're as fake as it gets in terms of tough guys. But I don't really want to bring them into this conversation because I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs or not. They got a big one against the Giants this week. If they lose that game, they're not going anywhere but home after week 17. But they're a fake tough guy. They don't know if they're coming or they're going. They're a young team, though. I don't want to beat them up. That's part of the reason I don't even want to really beat them up here is because they're a young team and they're not in the playoffs. If they were in the playoffs firmly, I probably would pick on them. Just like I just picked on the Miami Dolphins, and that's a young team with a young coaching staff. However, the Dolphins are in, the Cardinals are not. Obviously, the Buccaneers, and my man, I got this from my man Ree. Shout out to my man Ree, who always talks about his team as being fake tough guys. I could easily bring them into this conversation sitting here at 7-5. I'm not going to do that. Low-hanging fruit. I'm not going to do that. I talked about Seattle. They've been beat up enough over the last week because of the loss to the Giants. I'll leave them alone and out of this conversation for now, but you see where that is trending. And I'm not giving up on them because of DK Metcalf, Russell Wilson, and Tyler Lockett. And Chris Carson. I'm not giving up on the Seattle Seahawks. I refuse to give up on that group, even though that was as ugly a loss as you will see this season. No, I'm not going after any of those teams. The fakest tough guy in the NFC was the team that was the fakest tough guy team in the NFC last year. Of course, I'm talking about the team that I love to love, but I hate to love them when they're in this state, the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers is the man. You know how I feel about Aaron Rodgers. Every single year, I picked the Packers to go 13-3 or 14-2 because they got Aaron Rodgers. And with this guy under center, you're going to win a lot more than you lose. And he's playing at an MVP-like level, and either he or Mahomes, more likely than not, going to win the MVP this year. And he's got this offense playing at a high level, but there's just not enough around him offensively. And I think that's going to be, not to mention, and this is probably, if this version of the Packers offense was attached to the defense last year, I'd feel a lot more confident about them. But I didn't feel confident about their offense last year, and their defense was exceptional in terms of getting to the quarterback. But we saw against San Francisco last year, they couldn't stop the run. Well, they just brought that same run defense over to 2020 because they still can't stop you from running the football. Okay, that's still something that they struggled to do. Not to mention now, they're not getting to the quarterback like they were last year. So it's a double-edged sword for that defense now that can't get to the quarterback. They can't stop the run. Well, what the hell can you do defensively? I don't know. Stop asking. I don't have the answers for you. Right? When they're not getting to the quarterback and when the other team isn't running the football, well, and they just say, you know what, we just got to throw it. You can throw it on Green Bay. If you say, hey, can't throw it today, but we can run it, you can run it on Green Bay. If you got to run it, you can run it on Green Bay. And so I don't have any confidence in their defense. None. At all. Got all the confidence in the world in Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams and even Robert Tonyan to a lesser degree. I think this guy is a stud. After that, though, if I would have felt so much better about Green Bay had they went out and gotten a guy at receiver. Just another guy. Kenny Stills is still out there, if I'm not mistaken. I would feel so much better about Green Bay if they just had another guy that I trusted. Opposite of Davante Adams, because I still don't trust Allen Lazard. I don't trust Valdez Scantling. I don't trust any of the guys that they have on that football team opposite of Davante Adams. And if anything happens to him, his hamstring tightens up, his ankle gets turned, he has a calf injury. If anything happens to Davante Adams, they are done on offense. Every time they need a big play, Rodgers is going to 17. Fourth down against the Eagles this past week. Who does he go to? Davante Adams. His 400th touchdown of his career. He needed 3. You know who he threw it to? Davante Adams. Like, we already know what's going to happen when they have to have it. That's a problem because everybody else in the league knows it as well too. So it's one thing to get away with it against the Eagles and the Jaguars and teams that aren't good. But when you get to the postseason, teams are going to game plan to shut down or at least slow down 17 and say, hey, you're going to have to get Valdez Scantling or one of these other dudes, Allen Lazard, somebody else is going to have to beat us. It won't be 17. And I'm not sure if they have another guy that's going to be able to step up and make the plays necessary to help this team continue to advance in the postseason. And again, I worry about that defense. If you're asking me who's the fakest of the fake tough guys in the NFC, and there are plenty of them, I'll tell you it's the Green Bay Packers. That's the team that I say, hey, bring all the smoke this way. I want it all because I think I can take you out. Love to hear from you guys on that. Who's your real tough guy in both the AFC and the NFC? Who are your fake tough guys in both of those conferences as well? Let's move on to what I like to call Thursday night leftovers. Let's head to the kitchen. I'm going straight to the pizza box. I don't need the microwave because I told you I don't put my leftovers in the fridge. I left them out on the counter. So I'm just going to open up the box, throw a couple on my plate, and I'm heading out to the living room, sit down on the couch, and munch on these leftovers. So let's munch on the leftovers from the 24-3 destruction of the Patriots by the Rams in this game to elevate the Rams to 9-4 on the season, a half game ahead of the Seahawks for first place in the NFC West Division. Meanwhile, the Patriots dropped to 6-7, and for all intents and purposes, their hopes of making the postseason are dashed in 2020. So let's get to my first leftover. And it's an easy, low-hanging fruit leftover, okay? The first bite is usually the most inconsistent bite of the leftovers, okay? the Rams are real contenders. That's the first leftover. Like if you were unsure, if you weren't, really feeling the Rams, and you may still not be feeling the Rams, but one thing's for sure, you got to be feeling that defense. You got to be feeling that defense because they've done this now all season long for the most part. So this is not an aberration. It's not just a bad Patriots team that they beat up on. And that's what by the way, that's what you're supposed to do to offenses that look like the Patriots offense, is you just shut them down completely. Turn that faucet off. I don't even want drips and drops coming out of the faucet. Shut it completely off. That's what they did last night. Patriots get down inside the 5. That's the best you can do on 4th down is a quarterback draw with Cam Newton. Didn't you see in week 2 versus Seattle that shit doesn't work against, well, I shouldn't say credible defenses because Seattle isn't a credible defense, or wasn't at the time. But don't you know that doesn't work? This is not college football. It's not going to work. Not against a good defense. That might work against the Jets. That might work against the Arizona Cardinals. That's not working against the Los Angeles Rams. Sorry. Try again. So, I think they're real contenders, man. Brandon Staley in his first year as defensive coordinator, we'll talk about him here in a second, getting the job done. That was a hell of a roll of the dice by Sean McVay to move on from Wade Phillips, an old, grizzled, wily vet in this league that is called defense for ages in this league, to say, all right, man, we really appreciate what you've done, but your young understudy is ready to take over, and that he has, and done it in a major way. This defense has responded. And, we made fun of the Rams for not having a first-round pick for the last 19 years, and I think they won't have one in this upcoming draft either. But they're the ones smiling right now because they got Jalen Ramsey, because they got Aaron Donald, because they got Michael Brockers, because they got Joseph Sheldon Day, because they've got all of these players playing at a high level, all right, including the edge rusher from Chicago, Leonard Floyd. Like, they've just got all these guys playing at a very high level. They're a dangerous unit. And last night, we saw something out of the run game that we've been waiting on, and we know these receivers are fully capable. This Rams team, to me, is a real contender. And when the season started, and even as we got through halfway point of the season, I still didn't think the Rams were a true contender. As I've watched them closely these last 3 or 4 weeks, I'm more convinced than ever this season that the Rams are legit. They're really legit. And it wouldn't shock me if they're representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. I did not feel that way for 75% of this NFL season to this point, as we sit here in week 14. Did not feel that way for the first 10 weeks or so. But over the last month, they've made me believers. Last night was an exclamation point. And I get it, it's the Patriots. They're supposed to do that to them. There's a lot of people that thought the Patriots had figured something out, and then here come the Patriots. The Rams said, okay, we'll show you. Better than we can tell you. And that they did. Rams are a real contender. That's my first leftover from last night. My next leftover. Bill Belichick, after the game, with reporters, said, hey, yeah, that's a good question. I'm sticking with Cam. That's the right decision. And we talked about that briefly last night. Someone asked, what do the Patriots do at the quarterback position? Do you continue on with Cam? What's the point of doing it? And I said, what's the point of going to Jarrett Stidham if you don't believe in him? The Patriots have already told us all we need to know about Jarrett Stidham. They don't believe in him. If they did, they wouldn't have signed Cam Newton. What do you need to sign Cam Newton for? If Jarrett Stidham is the guy, then you turn him loose from the beginning of the season and you let the guy go. They didn't believe in him. That's why they brought in Cam Newton. That's why even when Cam Newton struggles and they bench him, they go back to Cam Newton. They've done that already this season. If they really thought they had something in Jarrett Stidham, when Cam Newton was out due to COVID, you know who would have started that game? Not Billy Ho. Jarrett Stidham would have started that game. But they started Billy Ho, and he threw up all over himself, as Billy Ho usually does. And so that tells me all I need to know about Jarrett Stidham right now. They view him as a backup, not as a starter in this league, and that's okay. Generally, when you draft a guy in the 3rd round, as they did, or 4th round when they drafted Jarrett Stidham, generally that's what you're getting. So, and he might have been a 2nd round pick. I don't know. I think he was a 3rd round pick. Anyway, at the end of the day, I think you go back to Cam Newton. What's the purpose of playing Jarrett Stidham? if there's no long-term future there. You roll with Cam because, to me, you still are trying to figure out, and they should already know this by now. You've got a large enough sample size. 12 games of Cam Newton starting for you this season to know whether or not this is a guy you want back next year. I think we know the answer to that, but we can't be sure, 100% certain that that's how they feel. You got 3 games left. You want to be competitive in those games. Cam gives you the best chance to win. If I'm Bill Belichick, I'm not interested in going 7-9 this year. I've never had a losing record, or I think that's correct. I don't know if he's ever had a losing record in New England. If he has, I don't know. I don't want to make assumptions. I don't think he's had a losing record in New England. If he has, it's only been 1 year, probably once in his career in New England. I'm not looking to have a losing record this year. And Cam Newton gives me the best chance to at least finish 8-8, which is what I said they would do before the season started. And even as we got into the season, I stuck with 8-8, even though they were 2-5, and I thought they were going to finish this season more like 5-11. 8-8 seems about right. And I told you that when they were 6-6 going into this game versus the Rams. I said, no, 8-8's about right. Same thing with the Minnesota Vikings, who are all of a sudden surging. No, 8-8's about right for them too. They'll finish 8-8, and more likely than not on the outside looking in of the postseason. But again, Arizona has to handle business. We'll see what happens there. Next leftover. From one Cam to another. So enough of Cam Newton. We talked about him ad nauseum last night. How about Cam Akers? This is the guy that I think is the true X factor for this Rams offense. 171 yards on 29 totes last night. He was dominant from the word go last night. He had over 80 yards rushing, I believe, in that first quarter. He was dominant, was Cam Akers. He caught it out of the backfield too. He was a problem. And that's what they drafted him out of Florida State in the second round to do, is to take over the mantle. And I said, you know what? For the Rams not having a first round pick these last 19 years, they've actually done a quality job of getting guys in the second, in the third, in the fourth round. Like Joseph Noteboom. We laughed, you got Joseph Noteboom in the third round. That's going to be your starting tackle. Joseph Noteboom is playing some quality ball for them along that offensive line as a guard. Like, they're getting quality snaps out of these guys that they're drafting. You know, the Fuller kid out of Ohio State, late round draft pick this past year, playing good ball for him at the safety position. You know, John Johnson, they found him as a gem in like the third round out of BC a couple of years ago. Like, they are figuring, they figured this draft thing out in terms of finding gems in the mid to late rounds. And Cam Akers, it wasn't a mid-round gem. It was a gift from the draft gods that fell into their lap, because he's better than, you know, a second round, middle of the pack pick. I think he ended up being like the, you know, 50th, 52nd, something like that pick in the draft. He was better than that to me, you know, and because the running back position wasn't highly regarded, and those running backs got pushed back a bit in this draft, this Rams team was the beneficiary of that. And I said this is a perfect fit for their offense. You know, one cut and go, stick your foot in the ground, get up the field in his zone run blocking scheme, and he's taking advantage of it now. And it took him a while, you know, to get his feet wet, for them to be comfortable and confident in his abilities in this offense. But now they feel good about Cam Akers. And if he can continue to do this, and I saw it not this week, but the week prior against Arizona, even though the numbers, again, weren't gaudy, you know, 21 carries, 79 yards, 76, something like that. But I saw the touchdown run. I said, man, that's a physical touchdown run. And I saw him running in that game, and I said, he's starting to gain confidence. And you saw it really blossom on Thursday night. I think Cam Akers is the X factor for that offense. If he's playing well, they're going to be tough to deal with that play action fake that they run off of the run game. Next Thursday night leftover, we're seeing the end, and we knew this was coming. But this, to me, is the stamp now, because we really didn't know for sure if it was, you know, Brady, or if it was Belichick. It was the whole chicken or the egg debate. Well, both of them need each other. We figured that out. Brady's struggling in Tampa. Belichick, although he's doing a tremendous job, they're 6-7. So, needless to say, which is what we thought. Like, this is equal parts responsible for the dynasty in New England. But it's amazing to kind of reflect on what they've done over that 2-decade period, because I told you guys this like 2 years ago, maybe even last year. I said, say goodnight to the bad guys, because you'll never see a bad guy like this again. And I told you guys to respect this. You don't have to love it. And a lot of you hate it. But this evil empire, the B&B winning factory, you will never see anything like it again in this league. It's just like the San Antonio Spurs in the NBA. It's like, over a decade of 50, win seasons, like that's insane. You won't see that again in the NBA. Injuries, teams, or players changing teams, all of the parity that goes on in the NBA, you won't see it again. You won't see it in the NFL either. It's so hard to win double-digit games. You know the last time my favorite team, has won double-digit games? And I'm not a good barometer for this either. Just let me say that. But I'm just trying to illustrate that you're not guaranteed to win double-digit games. Even when because everyone in this league gets that one season when they catch lightning in a bottle and they win 10, 11 games. My team doesn't do that. When we catch lightning in a bottle, it's good enough for 9-7, in a playoff berth, in a bad division or something like that. Like, we don't catch lightning in the bottle and go 12-4, like the Jaguars did, when they went, what was it, 11-5, 10-6, and all the way to the AFC Championship game back in 2017. Like, we don't do that. I think the last time Washington had double-digit wins was 2012 with Robert Griffin III when they went 10-6. That was the last time. Like, think about that. 8 years is the last time we won 10 games in a season. 8 years ago. It's a long time. The Patriots went 17 straight years of double-digit wins. It was snapped last night. You'll never, ever, 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 ever see that again. Understand how dominant they were for 2 decades. 17 straight years of double digit. He did that 1 year with Matt Cassell at quarterback. Matt Cassell. Think about that for a second. And I know his name's Matt Castle. For those of you who haven't watched this before and think I just messed his name up. That is so impressive. When you take that and you take a step back and you just look at that. I had to look at that several times and say, really? 17 straight years snapped? 17 straight years of 10 wins or more? Mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. You'll never see a bad guy like that again, ever. So, as I've said to you before, and I'll say it again, give them their just due. Bask in the best villain you've ever seen in the National Football League. Bask in them. Because once they're gone, you're going to miss them. And I told you that last year. I said, telling you right now, you're going to miss these Patriots. You're going to, because you love to hate them. I told you, every league is best when there's a villain. And there's never been, to me, in any sport, there's never been a better villain than the New England Patriots. Either you love them as a Patriots fan, the rest of the league collectively hates the Patriots. You don't have to be a fan of a team in the AFC East to not like the Patriots. You're like, man, to hell with the Patriots. I want to see Brady and Belichick lose. That was universal around the league. You got to love that, man. You're not going to see another bad guy like this again. And to them, I tip my cap and I say touche. Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft, and the staff and the company, touche. 17 years of double-digit wins snapped last night. With that loss, they are insured to win less than 10 games now with 7 losses on the season. It was a hell of a run, though, and you'll never, ever see that duplicated. Again, they bested the San Francisco 49ers, who had a stretch from 83 to 98 of 16 straight double-digit win seasons. Patriots beat them by 1. And I'm pretty sure people said when the 49ers streak came to an end, we'll never see this again. And I'm saying it now. You'll never see it again. We'll see. We will see. Final leftover from Thursday night. I talked about him already. I teased. Now let's talk about him. Brandon Staley, first-year defensive coordinator in Los Angeles for this Rams football team. He's getting hot. He's getting real hot. Now, I'm going to just tell you right now, he's not getting a head coaching job this year. Now, we talked about this yesterday, or it might have been on the podcast on Wednesday. We could see an unprecedented amount of openings this year. When the season's over, we could see double-digit openings. We could see 10, 11 teams looking for new head coaches. And if that is in fact the case, then a guy like Brandon Staley comes into play. But if it's what I think it's going to be, which is closer to 7, maybe 8 max, I think a guy like Brandon Staley is going to be made to wait. He's going to have to continue to cook, continue to show that this is legit, that he is that dude. Much like Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh has been hot for a couple of years now. Last year, it hit this crescendo like, oh my God, this guy, gotta go get him. Nobody went and got him. Now, it looks like Robert Saleh might be getting out of San Francisco this year. So, in essence, what I'm telling you, offensive coordinators, they're different because this league is an offensive-driven league. So you can be dynamite as a play caller for 1 year and parlay that into a job. We saw Zach Taylor do it. We saw the Green Bay Packers head coach Matt LaFleur do that with the Titans 1 year as a play caller. Boom, he's got a head coaching job. We've seen that happen in this league. You don't have to sit there and marinate as a coordinator to prove that you can do it because it's an offensive league. It's a passing league. Everybody wants the next hot offensive-minded commodity. Now, on the defensive side, it's a lot harder for defensive coaches to get jobs because nobody wants that team that's, so reliant on their defense and the coach. Because a lot of times defensive-minded coaches are conservative. They much rather placate towards their defense than to say, hey, go be aggressive and whatever you guys do, we'll clean up the mess. No. Don't mess it up for my defense. We can win this game 13-10 if you just don't turn it over. And so a lot of times defensive-minded guys, I'll give you an example. In Minnesota, Mike Zimmer, extremely conservative, which is why when he decided to go for the gusto on Sunday Night Football, I was shocked when he could have just kicked the field goal. Normally, conservative Mike Zimmer says, hey, I trust my defense. I'm going to kick this field goal, go up by 8, because even if Russell Wilson takes it down the field, you're not getting a 2-point conversion. But I'm going to tell you why he did what he did, because he doesn't trust his defense this year because they're young, and he didn't expect them to get the stop, and he was right. They didn't. But in past years, with his defense that he trusted, he would have kicked the field goal because in his mind, I just don't F it up for my defense. We got this. And generally, that's how defensive-minded guys call games. Vic Fangio's the same way. Nobody really wants to do that anymore. So it's a lot harder for these defensive-minded guys to get jobs in this league. Mike Tomlin is the same way. He'll be aggressive on 2-point conversions and things like that, but for the most part, he plays it close to the vest. And you know what? For me, because I'm old man, get off my lawn, there's a little part of me that loves to see coaches that respect the game. 4th and 1.5 from your own 34. Don't go for that. Punt the goddamn football. If you trust your defense, punt the damn football. There's a part of me that loves that. And then there's a part of me that's like, you probably should go for that. But more so, hey, punt the ball, respect the game. Respect the game. Punt the goddamn football. So, anyway, I digress. I think Brandon Staley is making a name for himself. And when you do what he did last night to the Patriots on national television, people take notice. And the Rams have been on national television now, I think it's been 3 or 4 times. Opening game of the season versus the Cowboys. When we didn't know the Cowboys were going to stink, the Rams defensively pretty much put the clamps down on the Cowboys, who we thought were going to be an offensive juggernaut. So that's the first time. They shut down the Bears, which that's not hard to do. But again, go out and do it. And they did that. They shut down the Patriots here in this game. And so every time we've seen this Rams team, and we might have seen them once more, and I'm just drawing a blank. But every time we see this Rams team on national television, this defense is showing out. And it's a direct correlation to Brandon Staley. And I think his name is starting to garner a little bit more attention. He's heating up. I don't think he's going to get a job, but I'll throw in this caveat. If we get 10 or 11 vacancies at the end of the season, you could see a guy like Brandon Staley show up as a real potential candidate to get a job in 2021. So we'll see. Anyhow, I didn't even realize this, but I had a couple super chats. Hopefully they're still around. It's just one super chat. Okay, so I didn't miss much. Got one from my man Silver V. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My man Silver V writes, how long will it take for us to recognize a trap game when it's staring right at us? A rookie quarterback on a bad team before the Chiefs game. Come on, Louie T. Tell me you can't see the final score 24-20 Saints. Trap games are always they're intriguing to me because trap games are only trap games if you allow them to be. They're only trap games if you allow them to be. Like the Steelers fell into the trap. Emotional win over the Ravens the week prior. Hard-hitting contest. They didn't play well. Tomlin chewed into them because he knew that this was a trap game. He knew that game against Washington was a setup to lose type of situation, which is why he tore into his team during the week, which is why he went out to the media and said, we played JV football. He made it a point of emphasis to put his team on high alert because he felt the trap being set for his team. And still, he allowed Washington to walk into his trap and then take his trap. So at the end of the day, you can see a trap game. If you still don't understand why it's a trap, you're going to allow a team to come in there and take your trap. So again, let's understand that, first of all, if the Saints aren't careful, they can definitely lose that game, okay? Because the Eagles, believe it or not, defensively aren't terrible. They're not. However, Jalen Hurts, I think, is going to turn it over 2 or 3 times. I do not see this being a trap game. It can be. And if it turns out exactly what you say, it's because he didn't turn it over and the Eagles defensively, with Taysom Hill in the lineup, was able to stymie him and force him into a mistake or two, and they were able to win that game. And look, everything that you said is 100% spot on. Eagles are at home. The Saints are on a roll. Taysom Hill is going to probably be starting his last game of the season, more likely than not, if Breeze is able to come back against Kansas City the following week and stay healthy the remainder of the season. And so there are a lot of factors here. But at the end of the day, the Saints are the better team. The Saints play good defense, and the Eagles are anemic offensively. And I don't know if changing the quarterback is going to change that. I really don't. So we're going to see. But it's an interesting take by you, Silver V. I will say that because this feels, as you mentioned, Chiefs on the horizon. Could you be overlooking a 3-7-1 Eagles or a 3-8-1 Eagles team at this point? Absolutely. With a backup quarterback, a rookie backup quarterback starting his first NFL game, could you be overlooking that game to get to the Chiefs? Absolutely, you could. Absolutely. But this is why I think I kind of differentiate between the two, is because if this were a young team, and that's why I struggle with this sometimes, because the Steelers aren't a young team. They're a veteran group. They understand, and they still fell into the trap. So I say that, but I really feel like the Eagles, and the difference too, Washington was playing their best football of the season. They came off of their most momentous win. They were confident. That's not where the Eagles are right now. The Eagles are going in the total opposite direction. Now, had the Eagles been playing inspired football and this was a situation that cropped up, yeah, maybe I could see it happening. The Eagles are not playing the kind of football that lends me to believe that they're going to rise up and jump up and bite the Saints. But everything that you said is facts, big facts. And so all the makings of a trap game lie right here for the Saints. It's their job to avoid falling into that trap. Thank you for the super chat, Silver V. So, with that said, let's get to my money picks of the week.
Money, yeah. Money, yeah. Hey, that's a good pick.
Money, yeah. Money, yeah. Let's get it. Money picks of the week. So last week, your man went 11-4. That's actually a pretty damn good week considering some of the games that went the way that they went. I didn't have the balls to pull the trigger on my boys, and I don't apologize for that. But outside of that, I was pretty damn good last week. The Lions came up big for me. Man, was that a big win for me. Had to have that one. And they went and got it for me. I told you, don't go against the new coach theory. It hasn't let me down yet. And you see it come up for me big again this season. Every team that has fired their coach has won the next game this season. Texans did it. Lions did it. And I think we had one more in season, and the Falcons did it. So they came up huge for me. That was a big win. And I think I had one more really big win. I don't think any win was bigger than the Lions one. That's the one I needed the most. Anyway, I did suffer a massive defeat last week, though. I got my Soul Survivor pick wrong for the second time this season. That one stung. Man, that was a double whammy. One, it was my Survivor pick. I don't like getting those wrong. Two, they let the Giants beat them, so that hurt me in the division. So it was a double whammy. Man, that one hurt. That one cut deep. We lessened the blow the next day by beating the Steelers, but whew, that one was rough to take. But I'm now 13-2 in my Survivor picks. And you say, wait, ho. Louie T, this is week 14. How are you 13-2 on your Survivor picks? Well, that's because I can't add. And I can't do math. I'm 12-2 on my Survivor picks. And you say, whoa, wait a minute. That's not any better. This is week 14. How do you already have 14 Survivor picks under your belt? That's why I stop you. My Survivor pick for this week was the Rams. Yesterday. I told you definitively they were going to beat the Patriots. And I told you I didn't think it was going to be close. So that was the game that I knew was going to be the way that it turned out. So I'm already on the board for my Survivor pick this week. So I've gotten that out of the way. I'm now 12-2 on the season. Those two still sting. Chiefs losing to the Raiders, and last week the Seahawks losing to the Giants. But I'm 12-2 overall on my Survivor picks. And on the season, I'm 133, 58-1. That's good for first place. Tie for first place in the winners and losers pool. I got hot. Remember when I told you guys I'm about to do me? I'm done with all of the this and that. Forget about all that. I'm just gonna go off of this right here. I done watched enough football. I done seen enough. I know this stuff. I'm just gonna do me and let the chips fall where they may. And since I've done that, I was in third place, a full 5 games back when I made that declaration. I'm now tied for first, made up 5 games in that short span. So your boys turned it up, and I'm going to continue to apply the heat in the kitchen because it's getting hot. It's winning time. Now we in the fourth quarter. It's winning time. It's time for me to turn it up and separate myself from the rest of these jive time turkeys. So here's how we're going to do it. Got the win on Thursday with the Rams to get my week started off the right way. Let's continue on. We start on Sunday with the Titans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. AFC South family business. You know how the family do it. I don't have to tell you. Look, the Jaguars have been playing competitive football every single week. They just don't know how to win. The Titans, if you're serious about winning the division, you have to sweep Jacksonville. That's not optional. It's not optional. If you want to go to Jacksonville and you want to trip, then you could end up like Indianapolis did in week 1. And the Titans were not impressive last week at home versus the Browns. But let me give you another, just another thing to kind of chew on. The Jacksonville Jaguars are not the Cleveland Browns. Hence, the Titans are going to win this game, and they're going to remain in first place in the AFC South. Give me the Tennessee Titans on the road. I'm just going to tell you, I am uncomfortable with my picks this week because I have way too many road teams now. Here's the thing. Road and home don't mean as much as they used to in the past. So I take a little solace in being able to say that. But that being said, I still don't like having more than 6 or 7 road teams on my sheet, especially when you got a 16-game slate. 7 is usually as high as I like to go. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 road teams. That is very, very scary. We move on. Minnesota at Tampa Bay. This is not one of my road games here. The Vikings are coming off of one of the ugliest wins they've had this season. Look, you take them any way you can get them. I told you, nobody ever analyzes the win and says, oh my God, you only beat Jacksonville by 3 in overtime? That's not a good win. No. Just put that brick in the left-hand column, and when the season's over, we'll count them all, and if you got enough to get in the dance, we'll let you in. So they won the game. But when you're picking these types of games, when they're evenly matched teams, 6-6 Minnesota, 7-5 Tampa Bay, Buccaneers coming off of a bye week, and when you're starting to look at these, the eye test matters. That's when you start looking at that game last week and saying, Jacksonville at the crib pushed them to the limit. Nah, I can't rock with those boys. Tampa Bay coming off the bye week, refocused. They need this one very badly because now it's starting to get real hot in the kitchen. If you're Tampa, you're looking around and it's a lot of these teams that weren't there before. Like, hey, where those funny lookings come from? You know, they look and they say, I see the Giants. I see the Vikings. Where y'all come from? Y'all weren't here a week ago when I left. Yeah, it's a lot of funny lookings showing up. Washington's 5-7. Like, don't trip and think you won't end up on the outside looking in. It's a lot of funny looking showing up. And if you ain't ready to do some damage, you can get got. So you got to win this game, man. Minnesota's not a good team. You have to win this football game. You don't? We're going to have some problems come Monday next week. Okay? So give me Tampa Bay at the crib, man. They're going to figure this one out. Give me Tampa Bay to beat the Minnesota Vikings. They're the better team. Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs at the Miami Dolphins. I already told you how I felt about this game. So I don't really need to go into intricate details as to how the Chiefs are going to achieve the victory. I told you the Miami Dolphins are fake tough guys. They're going to prove it in this game. You want me to be wrong? Here's your chance. Prove me wrong. I think you're a fake tough guy. I'm looking you in your eyes. Look at me. Look at me when I'm talking to you, Miami. I'm telling you you're a fake tough guy. I'm pulling your card right now. Prove me wrong. Give me the Chiefs on the road to smack these boys around. And again, this final score will not be indicative of how dominant the Chiefs, and maybe it will be. Maybe we'll look up and it'll be 38-17. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they're going to make this competitive late, but the Chiefs are going to hold on. But the Chiefs are going to be up at some point in this game by 3 scores. Whether it's the first quarter, third quarter, they're going to be up by 3 scores at some point in this game. Give me the Chiefs on the road. Denver at Carolina. This is I told you, so many evenly matched games. This is one of those weeks where you can get got. Carolina Panthers, what are they? 5-7? 4-8? 4-8. Denver, what are they? 5-7, 4? I don't know. These are evenly matched teams, man. This could go either way. Teddy Bridgewater should be back in this game. Was he back before the bye week? I feel like he was back before the bye week. He was back in that game. Who they play last before the bye week? I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know. Stop asking. I know he's back. And they're not going to have Christian McCaffrey. Doesn't seem like. Matt Rule has already said, hey, I don't think Christian's going to play this week. Sucks to be you if you're a fantasy football owner of Christian McCaffrey. You really didn't get what you thought you were getting out of that number 1 overall pick that you made in Christian McCaffrey. Whew, that hurt some people. That set some people back this year. Either way, their backup running back has been really good, Mike Davis. And you know what? Their wide receivers have been really good this season. Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel. I trust Carolina more than I trust Denver. And that's why I'm just going to go with the Carolina Panthers. I may regret this because their defense in Denver is good enough to force some turnovers and win that game, 16-10, 19-16, 20-17. But I think Carolina's going to do enough and win that football game. Give me the Panthers at the crib. Houston at Chicago. More funky, evenly matched football teams. Chicago scored 30 last week. Look at Mitchell Trubisky, man. Now, he did have the costly fumble at the end of that game. Yeah, he did. But they scored 30. When's the last time the Bears did that? Don't ask me. I don't know. It just feels like forever. And so I said all of that to say this. This is a Bears team that is playing a little bit more confident on the offensive side of football. And you know what? This game is less about Chicago, more about the Texans. I talked about this last week when they were going into the game versus Indianapolis. You got the positive PED test for Will Fuller, the fifth, done for the season. You got the same thing on the defensive side for their cornerback, Bradley Roby. You then look at Kenny Stills being released, and I said, who, and oh, by the way, Randall Cobb also out with injury. Who the hell is he throwing the football to? And I watched that game last week, and I was like, who are these people? Who are these guys? I said, well, at least you still got Brandon Cooks. He got a concussion last week. Oops. My bad. Oh, and your running back, David Johnson, family emergency, not going to play this week. So, I know you said you were tired of this shit last week. You're tired of losing. I'm tired of this shit. Those were your exact words, right? Deshaun, I'm so sorry, man. You got nothing, bro. It's you and Duke Johnson going to war. Keep the fight, man. Keep the fight. Give me the Bears at the crib to just destroy Deshaun Watson in this game. They might sack him 5 or 6 times. It's not going to be pretty. Give me the Bears at the crib to snap their ugly losing streak that they're on right now and get the win. And oh, by the way, I think that win might actually put the Bears back in the conversation to try to make the playoffs. Isn't that rich? Arizona Cardinals at the New York Giants. Another one of these evenly matched games. 6-6 Arizona, 5-7 Giants. 4-game winning streak for the Giants. The Cardinals are just so inconsistent. What to do. I thought long and hard about this one. And I tried my hardest, my damnedest to take my heart out of this one. I really did. I said, heart, you got no place, no business factoring into this decision-making process. You never, ever steer me in the right direction. Get out of here. He says, but I want the Giants to lose so bad. And they can lose. And I said, I know, but the Cardinals make me sick. Because they are so inconsistent, it's not even funny. But then, this is how I convinced myself that this is the right move. Larry Fitzgerald, they really missed him. Believe it or not. Coming off of the COVID-19 list. And he's going to play this week. And I said, man, that changes their offense dynamically. I don't know if that's enough. No Blake Martinez at practice. I found little tidbits to get me to go with the Arizona Cardinals in this game. It may be a mistake because I could see that defense getting to Kyler Murray and forcing him into some mistakes. But I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals because I still don't think the Giants are that good. I still struggle with the fact that they're winning games. I really do because I just don't see it on offense. And I said they can't keep up this charade on defense. They can't do it. Give me the Arizona Cardinals. I may regret that one. Dallas at Cincinnati. I just talked about my top 5 teams in the league and my bottom 5, and both of these teams were in the bottom 5. 2 more evenly matched teams. If they didn't play each other, they might not win another game this season. It was really on the table. I hate to do this because Dallas is a mess, and I love the misery that the Dallas Cowboys are wallowing in right now. Their fans are complaining and crying. Their ownership is running their mouth. It's not the staff. It's not the players. Well, what the hell is it? Talking in circles. It's so much fun to watch. There was so much more fun to watch after a loss than a win. That said, Cincinnati's a mess. They're really, truly a mess. I think they actually are worse than Jacksonville without Joe Burrow. Their offense is just hard to watch. Really Medusa style. It's Medusa. It's hard to watch. The Cowboys, for as bad as their defense is, you're not going to be able to tell in this game versus the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't think so. This pains me to do this because Cincinnati is very capable. Well, I just don't think they're capable. Give me Dallas on the road to take down Cincinnati. And as crazy as this sounds, it would put them right back in the mix in the NFC if the Giants and Washington don't take care of business. They'll be one game back now. Washington has already swept Dallas, so they would in effect have to finish a game better than Washington. And they're not going to do that, by the way, but still. I want them dead. Dead, I tell you. Anyway, they're going to win this game. Give me Dallas on the road. Indy at Las Vegas. Again, two evenly matched teams. 8-4 Indy, 7-5 Las Vegas. This game could go either way. And just when you think it's safe to go against the Raiders, they jump up and bite you. This is one of those moments where they could definitely jump up and bite you. Indy's coming off of a near loss. They should have lost that game. I thought that their head coach, Frank Wright, did some really poor in-game coaching and made some decisions that should have backfired and resulted in a loss. It didn't. I look at Indy, and I think they're the better team. And the reason I think they're the better team is because of their defense. Phillip Rivers knows this Raiders football team, played against them for many, many years. So he's not going to be surprised nor taken aback by this Raiders defense. He's not going to wilt under the pressure. They could be in Vegas. They could be in Oakland. They could be in L.A. It doesn't matter. Rivers knows them, and I think he'll be able to navigate his way through that defense that can be tricky at times to navigate. And I think their defense is going to be able to make some noise against that Raiders offense. Give me the Colts on the road to take down the Las Vegas Raiders. Jets at Seahawks. The Jets aren't winning the game this season. So, as ugly as it was last week, I think that's the low point of the season for the Seahawks. It doesn't get any lower than the Giants lost last week to Colt McCoy. The Jets are done, and they've been done. What am I saying? The Jets are done being competitive. I don't think they're going to come that close like they were last week. They're going 0-16. I feel really good about that right now. Like, there's not a team in their division that you look at and say, hey, they've always got that team. Bills have already played them twice. The Dolphins, they could get the Dolphins. I don't think they're going to get the Dolphins. And I don't even know if they have any Dolphins games left. I don't know how that works. But I know this. And I think they've already played the Patriots twice, I think. I'm not sure about that. Don't quote me on that. At the end of the day, I don't see it happening. Give me Seattle. I said too much about that. Give me the Seahawks. Why am I talking about this? Green Bay at Detroit. The Packers, again, Detroit, they're feeling so good about themselves. Adrian Peterson said, it's fun to play in Detroit again. After they fired Matt Patricia, they go out and win a game, score 34, come from behind victory over the Bears. They're excited about, Darren Bevel out there. They're excited about the big bad man being gone in Detroit. I don't know. It could carry over into a win, man, against Green Bay. Lost to Minnesota when Minnesota was down in the dumps. I don't know, man. I trust Aaron Rodgers. That's my de facto default reasoning for picking Green Bay when I don't believe. When there's a shred of doubt, I trust Aaron Rodgers. And that's what I'm going to do in this game. It may come back to haunt me. Give me Green Bay to take care of the Lions, even though the Lions are playing spirited football and could easily beat the Green Bay Packers if they establish the run in that football game. I'll take Green Bay, though, because they're the better team. Atlanta at the Chargers. NFC version of I can't find a way to win versus AFC version of I can't find a way to win. It's like two teams staring in the mirror at one another. Oh, you blew a 19-point lead? Well, I blew a 20-point lead. Well, I lost 45-0. Well, I had a game where I got my ass kicked. It's like these teams just know how to lose. So why should I have to pick a winner when these teams don't know how to win? I don't know why I stopped asking. The Falcons are the better of the two teams. They're the more talented of the two teams. They've been more competitive of late of the two teams. Thus, I'll take the Falcons. I'll probably regret it. The Chargers gave up 45 points last week and scored none. And they're probably going to bounce back and win this game and make me look stupid. But I told you, I can't figure out the Falcons for the life of me this year. But I'm going to pick them anyway. And all I can do is pick them and cross my fingers and hope that I got it right. Anyway. Washington at San Francisco, you're going to have to tune in to Washington Football Nightly for that prediction of that game. New Orleans at Philadelphia. My man, Silver V, has pretty much told everyone out there that this is a trap game. That the Eagles are going to go, or not go to, but the Eagles are going to host the Saints, who are overlooking them for the Chiefs the following week. And they got a rookie quarterback that's a backup, getting his first career NFL start in Jalen Hurts, and that they're going to find a way to let this Eagles team win this game 24-20. So Silver V has spoken. He hasn't spoken for me because I don't see the game playing out that way. I do think that there is a chance that it happens exactly as you said. And it's not just a 5% chance. It's like a 35% chance that it could happen exactly the way that you said. However, I'm going to ride with the 65% chance that says that the Saints are just going to beat up the Eagles. They're going to dominate Jalen Hurts in his first career NFL start. He's going to turn it over twice, one fumble, one pick, and they're going to win the football game going away 27-13. That's kind of how I see this thing going. Give me the Saints on the road. Man, there's a lot of road teams. Pittsburgh at Buffalo. Speaking of road teams, interesting game here. My man, Captain Spartan, has been waffling all season long on his Steelers in terms of games that they could lose. Now, he hasn't been definitive. He's like, hey, we need to watch out for the Eagles this week. Hey, we need to watch out for fill in the blank this week. Hey, we need to watch out. This is a trap game. These teams are scary. But he's definitive this week that the Buffalo Bills are going to beat his Steelers, and he knows his team better than anybody I know that's a Steelers fan. Robert Spillane is out of this game. Looks like they're down another linebacker in this game, more likely than not. I don't know if Joe Hayden's playing, but if he's not, look, even if he was playing, they were going to have their hands full. If he's not playing, that makes it even more tougher, more tough of a situation to deal with these receivers that I talked about at the top of the show with Josh Allen and company. I said all of that to say this. If Captain thinks his Steelers are going to lose this game, and he's definitive, we're going to lose this game and then we're going to win out, I'm with him. I'll take the Buffalo Bills to make a statement. I told you I think the Bills are real tough guys. Here's a chance to prove it. You want everybody to think you're a real tough guy? I think you're a real tough guy. You want everybody else to think you're a real tough guy? Sunday night at the crib, prove it. I'm throwing a challenge flag. Prove it. I think you're a real tough guy, but you don't need to prove anything to me. Prove it to everybody else. You're a real tough guy, prove it. Give me the Buffalo Bills at the crib. And finally, Monday Night Football, we'll save that for the Monday podcast. But you already know what my pick is because I told you what I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to do. But we'll get into more details of that on Monday. So those are my money picks of the week. So I got a super chat here before we get out of here. And it's from Terry Maples. Thank you for the super chat, Terry Maples. Greatly appreciate you. Terry Maples writes, Kyler runs wild and gives Skins driver's seat. MOBB. Man, I hope you're right. this Giants defense isn't the kind of defense I think he runs wild on, though. If they win this game, it's because Kyler was surgical from the pocket, not because Kyler ran for 97 yards on 11 totes. I don't think this is that kind of party against this Giants defense. I really, really don't. So we'll see. I hope you're right. I don't really care how they get it. I don't give a shit if they win the game 3-0. I just need them to win. All right, at the end of the day. Period. So whether he runs or he throws it or the defense steps up and Daniel Jones comes back and regurgitates all over himself, whether he defecates on himself or the defense can't stop Murray, I don't care how it happens. I just need it. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the 120th installment of the LTN Pod. I thank you guys for joining me on this Friday afternoon. That was fun, wasn't it? I enjoyed myself. I can't speak for any of you out there. I enjoyed myself thoroughly. And I got a message for you, staunch supporters of the podcast that listen to it on various platforms, and I've been slacking. And look, I got nothing to say to you in terms of an excuse. I dropped the ball. Okay? Pods haven't been uploaded to where they need to go. I'm going to rectify that this weekend. I'm going to get them all up there. And I finally said, stop being cheap and just go ahead and pay what you got to pay to get every single pod, every single month up there. Because that's when I start to fall into this rut of not getting them up there. We're going to get them up there. I promise you guys. I'm sorry. First of all, let me apologize to you. All right, you deserve this apology because you were the ones rolling with me before this was up on YouTube. You were the ones that were listening at the gym, on your way to work, while you're in your car. You were the ones supporting this thing when nobody else was. And I neglected you, and I apologize for that. I'm going to get this back to you, and after I'm done recording these from now on, once I get them all up there, I'm going to make sure I go out of my way to upload these things to up to the proper authorities so that it's disseminated everywhere that it needs to go. I'll make sure I get it up on Libsyn, and it'll get to wherever you get your pods from. Apple, Google Music Play, wherever you get it from, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, wherever you get it, it'll be there. I promise. All right? I'm sorry. I'm going to say it once more. I've been slacking. Big time. So, but I'm back like cooked crack. And I promise I'm not going to allow this to happen again. And we had this conversation. I know you're like, look, we didn't have this conversation. There's nothing worse than having a conversation with somebody that you already had with somebody before. Having the same exact conversation. Nobody wants to do that again. I hate doing that. Didn't we already have this conversation before? Did we not already rectify this? Did we already not come to some kind of common ground, some kind of resolution? So why are we doing this again? I don't know why. Stop asking. I'm sorry. I'm going to fix it. So if that wasn't for you, I'm sorry you had to sit through that, but I had to say that because they deserve that apology from me. And I got to be better. So with that being said, happy Friday to everybody. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Army, Navy, I guess. Yeah. Not really much in terms of, hey, NBA preseason basketball, get you some. I'm going to pass. I'll see you on Sunday. For those of you who are Washington fans, I'll see you on later on tonight. Either way, if you haven't already done so, before I go, make sure you subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also, hit that like button if you haven't already done that. I got 25 likes, man. Come on, man. Show your man Louie T some love. Let's get that thing up to 30. And if we can get it to 30, get it to 35. If we get it to 35, get it to 40. All right? So if you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button for me, man. I really appreciate you guys. With that being said, I'm going to allow you to get back to your regularly scheduled programming on this beautiful Friday afternoon. And I will see you guys sometime in the near future. Just do me one favor. Take care of yourself and your loved ones, and we'll reconvene at a later date and time. You guys have a good one.
LouieTeeNetwork.